Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jay Singh and today I'll be showing you the top 10 formulas that you can use in Microsoft Excel to save your time. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. So in this video, I'll be showing you these formulas that you can see here, right? We will be discussing these formulas one by one. Now, if you're here for a specific formula on how to use, feel free to go forward and look for the formula. I'll be explaining them in a sequence wise. All right, let's get started one by one. So the first one we have is the sum, average, and min max, right? So as we discussed these three in the last video as well, let me explain one more time. So the sum is to add values in a range. So let's say you have a specific table from A1 to let's say C16 and you want to add those numbers, so you can use the formula sum. Same way, if you want to get an average of the same range, you can use the average formula to get the average of the range, right? Min and max you can use to find the lowest and the highest value in the same range as well. Let's get these ones into a real action. So the first one we will be using is sum. So any formula that you type needs to have an is equal to sign at the front, right? If you do not put a equal to sign, the formula won't run. So this is equal to sum and bracket start. So the first number is B2 and we can use a colon if you're selecting a series, right? And D2. So as you can see, the B2 to D2 is highlighted here. You can also do commas if you have just a couple of numbers, right? So let's say C2 comma D2 as well. You can use this method as well, or you can do it as the series wise as well. D2. You can use the series too. So once you click enter, you will be having an addition of all three numbers, which is basically a sum of the mark 1, 2, and 3. So just to give you a heads up on what we are doing here, this is a mark sheet of the students that I have here. So these are the name of the students and they have specific subjects, marks 1, 2, 3, right? So these are three subjects and this is how much they scored in each subject. And the total out of 300, this specific student, Candace, scored 180 out of 300. Now if I drag the formula down, I have a total like how much marks each student scored out of 300, right? So the average we can use, let's say that we have to get an average marks of a specific subject. What's the average marks a student score in a specific subject, right? So we can use this one here, average, bracket start, and you can select your series, bracket close, and enter. So you have an average of 53.9. You can do it all the way up here. So gives you an average on what we have here. I'm just gonna write here. The next one is min and max. So the min is what is the minimum score scores or minimum marks a student scores in this specific subject, right? So for that minimum, and you can select your series, bracket close, enter. So this will give you the minimum number or the lowest number the series have. You can use this one in anywhere you like in any kind of Excel sheet if you want to get a lowest number. Same goes for the average and the sum as well. Maximum works the same as the minimum. It instead of the minimum or the lowest number, instead it will give you the highest number. So max and the same series B2 to B11, right? And you have a highest number of 88. If you see here, the highest is 88 and the lowest is the 15 as well. Now, once I drag these formulas to the right, I can see the lowest marks that a student score is Dominic in the subject 2, and the highest of subject 2 is by Lila, right? And in the subject 3, the minimum one we have is for Brantley, and the highest score was Lila as well, right? So this is how the minimum and the maximum works. So the minimum gives you the lowest and the maximum give you the highest one. Average gives you the average of all those numbers, right? Sum just adds up all those numbers. So this finishes our average, minimum, and the max, right? So our first basic formulas. Now let's move to the next one, len and trim. So the len is actually stands for length, which means to count the characters in a cell. How many characters do we have? So let's say I'm gonna type J Singh. Let's put a space as well, JSing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The spaces are included as the characters, right? So we can use the formula LEN here. Just select the cell, whichever the cell you want to get the characters of, and enter. You have 7 characters here. You can actually count them manually. They are 7 as well. We just did, right? So this is to count the number of characters that we have in a specific cell. If you go and instead of E5 and we start putting C6, let's try C6. So C6, we have total 37 characters, right? In count number of characters in a cell. This is 37 characters in total, including spaces. The trim, it works on something that you copied online. So let's say you have some of the text from a PDF file or another Word file or maybe a chat GPT or something from the Google as well. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. If you're trying to paste in Excel, sometime it does is it just creates a weird amount of spaces in between your text, right? So we spend hours deleting those spaces manually. Like, let me show you here. So let's say something this happens, right? You have a lot of spaces in between your text. And the only thing that you think of is removing them one by one, right? But there's actually a method to remove these spaces. Although it's gonna look a little weird for you at the first, so you have to create multiple sheets for it, right? So is equal to trim. It's gonna trim the extra spaces that we have, and then you have your text, right? So type the text or select the cell, it's up to you, and then bracket close, enter, and you have your same text without that trim, right? So let's try one more time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this one, and instead of F6, let's try putting the text itself. There you go. Oh, sorry. This one's not with the spaces. So let's try one with the spaces. There we have it. So I pasted it without the spaces, sorry, with the spaces, and it actually gave me, whoa, Control C, Control V, enter. Here we go. So I pasted with the spaces, and what I get is without spaces, right? So if you don't want to add it like a double cell like the one I have here right now, two different cells, all you can do is you can copy the text and paste it in the formula directly, and it will remove all the spaces for you automatically, right? So the next one is VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. We will go through this one later on in the end of the video because this one will take time and it's a little complicated to understand. Let's just go through the easy ones first, right? So the first one here after the HLOOKUP is today, now, and the days. This is the date and time formulas, right? Most of the time, if you want to insert a date, we usually just type it, right? But what you can do is you can use a formula saying today bracket, and it will insert today's date for you, right? Now, if you want to add a time as well with it, is equal to now. It means that whatever the time you have right now, add on the current date, it will insert for you. Once you click enter, you can see there's a 8 p.m. with 21 minutes of 16th April 2025. And the last one is the date, sorry, days. Days formula we use to count the difference between the dates you have, right? So let's say that you want to calculate how many number of days you have from January 1st to April 16th, that is today, right? So how many days you have in total, right? So what you can do is type the formula as I have days and inverted commas. You start typing your date, says the end date, the right here in the pop-up that we have in the hover mode. Give you a like a little guide the what should you should be writing. So it says days, end date, comma, start date. So end date is our 16th April 2025 and our starting date is sorry our starting date is 1st January 2025. Now here's the twist, right? So this, whatever's you have here, it will give you the exact number of days minus one, right? So it will give you, because the thing is that the 16 is not finished yet. So it won't count the 16 as a part of the day, right? So whatever the total number of days we have till 16, it will only show one last, which means it will show you January 1st to 15th of April, not the 16th. You can type the 16th, but it will show you from 15. If you type 15, it will show you from 14, right? So you can try plus one here afterwards and enter, you have 106, right? And if I delete this plus one, you have 105 days in actual, right? But since we have to include the 16th as well, so you can add plus one and it'll give you 106, right? You can change the date. So let's say this is 20th of April and it shifts to 110. So let's do a manual count as well. So just give you an overview what exactly am I talking here, right? So for 16 to January 1st to 16 April, we have 106 days. So the January was 31 days, February was 28, March 31 again, and then April we have 16 days, right? So let's do a sum of these numbers, and then we have an exact of 106. So the formula only gives till 15, not the 16th one. 16th one you have to manually add it with the plus one, right? So this is how the days formula works. It only shows you of the day which has already been completed 24 hours. If it's in the mid, right? If it's just started or it's about to finish, it won't include that one, right? So this finishes our date and time formulas. Now there's a bonus here, right? So I know I remember saying that it's a top 10 formulas, but this is a bonus one, 11th one, if condition, right? So if condition we can use, it's same as in a programming as well, or you can say in a day-to-day life as well. So if condition works like if the person having this thing, then it's true. If not, it's a false, right? So let's try this one on our mark sheet here. So let's say we have a pass and fail. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do if the total number he scored, the student total number of um, the total marks the student scored is greater than or equal to 150, which is like a 50% of 300, then so value if true, right? So if you take a look into the formula here, if logical test. Logical test is the condition that we just entered. So, right? So the total number of marks that the student scored should be equal to or greater than 150, right? So if the student has 150 or more than that, that student is pass. If the student doesn't have 150 or it's less, like let's say anywhere 0 to 149, so the student is fail, right? So let's hit enter and the student is actually passed because the marks is 80. So we have Brentley and all the way up here to the third one, right? So these three are passed. 146 is less than 150, which means they should be fail. The fourth one should be fail. And then we have 123 and 93. So we have three fail students. So once I drag down the formula, as you can see, I have three fail students, right? Three of the students that are actually fail. So let's try something much more interesting. So if the passing marks is 200 out of 300, right? Then most of the students changes to fail. Only two of the students pass because they are the only one who scored more than 200, right? So this is an if condition. If the marks is more than this specific number, then it's a pass or a fail. You can use this one anywhere you like in any pattern you prefer. So let's say that you have if the client has paid the bill, then it's paid. If not, it's unpaid, right? For a corporate offices. If you're a student, you can use in a report as well using the same method, right? All you have to do is figure out the condition of the situation you're having and just type it in a proper manner and make sure to include the inverted commas when you're writing uh, text, right? Any text you write in the formula needs to be in the inverted commas. If not, it will give you an error. Let me just show you what kind of error it will be. So let's say if I'm going to use the same condition, right? This number is greater than or equal to 150, then it's a pass or fail. If not, right? So once you hit enter, it says name, right? Which means the formula didn't work. Invalid name error, right? So if you take a look, help on this error, see, so the name error signifies that something needs to be corrected in the syntax, basically in the formula. So when you see the error in your formula, resolve it. Do not use any error handling function such as if error to mask the error, right? So now you can see the calculation steps, evaluate and see. Now, if we start evaluating, the condition is 180. Actually, let me just restart it for you. So the condition is E2 is greater than or equal to 150. So the Excel started evaluating saying, okay, the E2 is 180, which is greater than 150. So the true result will be pass, right? So it says, okay, the condition is pass, which means it's true. So I'm gonna add the whatever the text you have in the true section. But it cannot because there's a text in it and it's not in inverted commas. So the Excel doesn't recognize it. So it gives you a name error, right? So once you add an inverted commas here, the Excel will be able to recognize it as a proper text, not as a number. So it will actually give you a text, right? So this finishes our if section. Now let's move to the VLOOKUP and the HLOOKUP, right? So VLOOKUP we use for search vertically and the HLOOKUP for the horizontal lookup, right? So I'm gonna show you here what these ones exactly means. Let's just take these ones out, right? So let's say let's create a situation that I have a student named Zaria, right? I want to know how much she scored in her finals, right? What is the total she scored out of 300? I want to know. So let's create a hypothetical situation that we have 1,000 students. Right now I have 10 students here, right? So let's take a look into 1,000 students. I don't know where Zaria is. This one is not alphabetically organized. It's not sorted yet. So I have no idea where Zaria is. So what I can do is I use the VLOOKUP function, right? Because the thing is the V stands for vertical lookup, right? So as you can see here, V and H, vertical and the horizontal. So since our text is in a column, which means we will be looking into a vertical section. If the table was formed in a horizontal way, let's say the name of the students is in a row, we'll be using a horizontal one instead. I'll show you that one with the example later on. So let's use the vertical one first. So for those of you who have a problem or maybe have trouble remembering the formulas, is a shortcut trick for you. Click on this fx function here. It's an insert function, right? You can use this one to search a function, right? Once you click OK, oh, we look up, go, oh, 1 second. We look up, and you have here, you have a VLOOKUP function. So click on it, OK, and you have a function argument here. So back to our hypothetical situation, what I'm looking for is I want to look for a marks for a student called Zaria, right? So I'll be using the inverted commas again because again, anywhere in the formula you have to use a text, make sure to include the inverted commas, right? So let's say Zaria Booker, and my table array is this one, A2 to E11. This is the table that I want the Excel to look inside, right? So I wanted to look in that specific boundary A2 to E11 for Zaria Booker. Now, Excel already found Zaria Booker in a column A row 8, right? So since Excel already found it, I want Excel to give me the value she has like that in a specific column, right? So this is a column index number. Column index number means that whatever the value you have in a specific column will be shown after you enter the formula, right? So since I want the total marks the Zaria scored in the all the subjects, I'll be using the number 5. And why is that? Because the number 5, the column number 5 is actually the column E. So if you take a look, our array, our table starts from A and goes up to E column. So if you start from A, B, C, D, E, this is the fifth column, right? So I want the number from fifth column. So if I want to take a marks of the subject 1, I'll be using column number 2, right? So I'll be using column number 2 instead of 5. If I want an answer from column number C, column C, means a subject 2, I'll be using number 3. But right now I want it from 5 because I want to know the total marks she scored, right? So now the range lookup has two values, true or a false. True means that it can give you an approximation amount, a close match, you can say. False means exact value, right? In case you forget, there's also a guide here at the bottom explaining what these ones means. Find an exact match is equal to false. So as you can see, I can already see a number 173 here. And if you see here, Zaria actually did score 173. So if I change the column to number 4, which is actually mark 3, of like basically a third subject, right? I have a number 74, which means Zaria scored 74 in the third subject, right? So let's do it for 5, and I can actually have a total number, a total scores she actually scored out of 300, right? So I can also use, let's say we are going for a Renee Warner, and we type this one in the formulas that I also want to know for Renee as well. So I type her name here, enter, and I have my number 93. So this is for the school staffs, right? So for the corporate office, let's say you have a car showroom or anything else, right? Any kind of database for the clients, right? You have your client name, you have your bill, is it paid, not paid, what's outstanding balance, or any kind of things, right? You have tons of client in a single Excel file. You can easily use the VLOOKUP to look for a specific client, like what is the outstanding balance. Let's say that this is the name of the clients, and we have total balance, or how much is paid, sorry, and how much is outstanding, right? And then we can delete these ones. We can use the formula here. Okay, total balance is this one, paid is, let's say, 0 to all, for example, is 0 to all, and we have an outstanding of this one, this minus this, and we have outstanding of 50, right? So as you can see, let me type 10 each, and we have an outstanding balance difference, you can see actually, right? So we have a outstanding balance here. So let's say I want to check how much Dominic still owes the company. So look for, sorry, VLOOKUP, and the value lookup is again Dominic Matthews, and my table array is A2 to D11. A2 till D11, right? Comma. Column index I want is number 4. Reason is the column that I want outstanding balance is in fourth column, right? So the column is 4, and the exact match is false. Bracket close, enter, and Dominic still owes $15, right? As you can see here, outstanding is 15. So let's do for Potter as well. Potter Small still owes, so Potter Small still owes $20. Here you go. You have your $20 number here. So the H lookup also works the same way, but is just in a horizontal way instead of the vertical one. So in this VLOOKUP formula, we use a vertical line to look for the numbers, right? So we used these names in a vertical way, right? To look for a specific value and then give us the number from a specific column. HLOOKUP just do it in a other direction. It looks the information in its specific row, right? And then give us a amount from a specific row as well, right? So this one looks for a column A and then give us amount from other columns. The H lookup gives us looks a value from one row and give us a value from other rows, right? So this finishes up our top 10 Excel formulas that you can use in a day-to-day life. So if you have a specific topic that you would like me to make a video on, or a specific formula that you want to learn, I can make a video on it. Please feel free to comment in the video, and I'll definitely make a video on this one. I hope you guys like it. Please do like and subscribe the channel, and have a wonderful week. Thank you.